Hi guys, how you all doing? You are back with Sam, and what I'm bringing you today is a full-length discussion of Dark Souls 2. Now while I'm going through this, in the background you will see footage from Dark Souls 1. I'm going through Anor Londo, which is probably one of the prettiest locations on the game, and it ends with the final boss fight in Anor Londo against Ornstein and Smough, or Ornstein and Smough, or however you want to say it, it's up to you. Now, you'll notice when it comes to the boss fight that I have magically turned hollow and got a lot less souls. And this isn't because I died, that's clearly not the reason. I did not die. I obviously came across some sort of secret spell which I've cast, which turns me into sort of like quite a badass looking zombie in an attempt to strike fear into my opponents. So it's not because I died at all. It didn't take me several attempts to do this, not at all. And if I could just get one of you to believe that, then I'll consider that a success. Now, as I said in my Gears of War video, once I hit 100 subscribers, I'm going to give away a free game to one of my subscribers, and I'm going to start doing prize draws like that once I get over 100 subscribers. If you want to begin with a shout, if you haven't already, click subscribe if you like the video. Now, the way I'm going to set this out is I'm going to discuss two things. The first thing I'm going to discuss is what we already know about the game. So we have been given some information, not much, but some information. Then I'm also going to do a little bit of speculation, things I'd quite like to see, and then leave you guys to give me your comments on what you want to see. Now, the game itself was announced at the Spike Video Game Awards on the 7th of December of last year. So I woke up one morning with a text off my friend saying, "Wake up Sam, there's been a Dark Souls 2 announcement," and I just sort of almost shot out of bed with excitement because Dark Souls 1 is probably my favourite game on the Xbox 360. And it's probably up there with Metal Gear 3, Heavy Rain, and other games like that as one of my favourite games of all time. So I really, really do love Dark Souls. I've really got high hopes for Dark Souls 2, so let's really hope they can deliver. Now, the little information we do have is it's being developed for PS3, Xbox and PC. So don't worry about new consoles thinking, will I be able to play this if I've only got the 360, if I don't have the new next generation consoles that will be coming out. It is being developed for the current generation of consoles. Now, that doesn't mean it won't get developed for the next generation consoles, but if it is, they probably can't say anything yet because there's no official word on the new Xbox One for a start, so it's all sort of clouded a bit. But one bit of news that was a little bit alarming to me is that the original director of Demon's Souls and Dark Souls is not returning as director for Dark Souls 2. So the guy who made these two games sort of his babies, he's not going to be directing the Dark Souls 2. He's going to act as a supervisor, and a guy called, I hope I pronounce this right, Tomohiro Shibuya, and somebody else, I'm not going to try and pronounce both those names. They're going to be directing them, with the original director acting as supervisor. Now, he has released a statement to the fans saying that he does have a lot of faith in these two guys, and he still has an input, he's just not the final say. Now, another thing we know is there's going to be no direct connection between Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 story-wise. In the same way, Demon's Souls and Dark Souls, they're not really connected. Although you do get Patches appear in both of them, and he's a twat in both, but that's just a little detail. However, and I'll cover this in the speculation later, this doesn't rule out any indirect links. And so I'll say more on that later. I'll just leave that there for you to think about. We also know it's going to feature dedicated multiplayer servers. Now, if you got the DLC for Dark Souls, you've already seen dedicated multiplayer, which was in the little PvP arenas you could get to after you killed Artorias. But that wasn't really that popular. It seems people still prefer to go back to the likes of Undead Burg, Anor Londo, places like that, and just try and invade and try and summon invaders with the dried finger and whatnot. Because when you did the dedicated multiplayer, you didn't get the souls of the other person if you won. You just won the fight and that was it. And it's sort of, I think for a lot of people, sort of eliminated the whole point behind invading someone, is you trying to get their souls and trying to claim what was theirs and try and basically make their game difficult. So if they do a dedicated multiplayer, I would like to have the option, not make it compulsory, but have the option of competing for souls rather than just competing to kill somebody. That would just make it a lot more appealing to Dark Souls fans. Now, another question a lot of people are asking is, are they going to stick to the fact that Dark Souls is supposed to be a challenging game? And the reason this has been sort of put up in the air is because there was a report that the beginning of the game is going to be made more accessible to newcomers of the series, which, again, I'm not sure what I think about that, because what made me love Dark Souls was the difficulty of having to get past that first Taurus demon fight, and then as soon as you get past it, you genuinely feel like you've accomplished something, and you can go back and just smash him, really. I mean, it really does reward you. You sort of build yourself up, and it actually makes you a better gamer. So I really hope they don't massively dumb down the first hour or so of this game, and I really hope it has that brutal difficulty you have to go through. So that's a little we do know. So let's talk about a little bit of speculation now. Now, my good friend Will told me one thing he would love to see is an indirect link between the two stories, and that is something along the lines of, you could just be walking around whatever part of the world that you're going to be in at that particular moment. One thing we do know is it's going to be about twice the size of Dark Souls. It's going to be absolutely massive, and it'd be quite cool just to see a little bird flying overhead carrying someone to Firelink to start Dark Souls 1. Just a little reference like that would be quite cool. Now, just because they said there's no direct link, it doesn't rule out indirect links, like I've said, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to be in the same sort of area. It'll just be in a different storyline. So you could be in the same area as Dark Souls 1, sort of, around the same region, just with a completely separate storyline. And one theory I have myself is, if you've watched the trailer, if you haven't, the link is in the description. There's a clip of a guy walking over a bridge. Now, this bridge looks very, very similar to the bridge you see in the Painted World on Dark Souls 1. Now, if you've played it, you know you have to go and get a peculiar doll back from where you start in your cell, and then use it to get into the painting. Now, I wonder if perhaps part of this will be set on the other side of that bridge, because when you get into the Painted World, there's a hole in the bridge which stops you going back on yourself. You only have to go one way. I wonder if perhaps some settings of this game will be on the other side of that bridge that you never see. So that's one little bit of speculation. Another thing is some speculation that the developers themselves have created by showing us some screenshots of characters they are developing. And so what you'll see now is what I'm speculating to be an enemy. Well, two enemies. You can see axes, and you can see some quite fearsome looking opponents. The question is, will they be big and sort of boss sized, or are we looking into the face of the standard enemies we'll find in certain regions of this game? Now, I don't want to speculate too much because I don't want to be the start of a big rumour. Now, weapon-wise, I would like to see a return of some of the weapons from Dark Souls. I mean, I'd love to have a Great Sword of Artorias once again in my hand, because it is probably my favourite weapon in the game. Magic-wise, again, I want to see it go down the same route as Dark Souls, because when I go back to Demon Souls, I really struggle with magic, and again, and weapons as well. I just do not like the weapons and the magic anywhere near as much as Dark Souls. So I really hope we find a lot of similarities between what you can use to defend yourself in this game. Now, it does carry the name Dark Souls. I mean, the question is it going to stay Dark Souls, or are they eventually going to change the name to something else? But whatever it's called, Dark Souls, I'm going to assume that there are going to be elements of the first game in this one. If it carried a completely different name, you'd expect everything to be different, like with Demon Souls and Dark Souls. You know, in Demon Souls there's no bonfires. You start at one central nexus and work your way out to different points, whereas Dark Souls, it's all centered around bonfires, and it's all pretty much an open world. So these are my thoughts. I want you guys to let me know what you think. Are you looking forward to this game? What would you like to see? And if you like the video, then please subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And like I said, as soon as I hit 100 subscribers, you are in with a chance of winning a game. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And in the meantime, take care of yourself, and I will see you soon.